What's up, ladies and gents? On the Offensive, episode 5. I can't believe we made it this long, but people keep asking for it. I'm Patrick Rivers, and this is Dan Streety right there. I don't know how it's going to look on your YouTube, but I'm pointing that direction. What's up, Dan?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
You sweating to the oldies?
Yeah, dude. I got to get rid of some of this Christmas fat.
Dude, I haven't worked out since what we played in Arizona with you guys in October, right?
No, I've never been to Arizona and played a show.
Shut up. So I tore something in my shoulder here and in my rotator cuff in August. And then I started getting tendonitis when I tried to lift. And so I just quit. And I haven't been back to the gym until this past Monday. So when you say Christmas fat, I feel your pain, bro. I feel your pain.
Well, first of all, we played together in not Arizona, in Arkansas. So, but we're going to get you a map for next Christmas.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, dude, I went elk hunting and came back pretty good shape. And ever since then, I've made it a priority to just fatten up. I don't know what to do. Like I'm getting ready for slaughter or something because I am putting on the weight.
You got your donut, do you? I got my dad donut too, right there. It's going to be gone it's going to be gone. I got 5 weeks now to lose it before Rock on Winter in New Albany, Indiana. I'm not going on the stage looking like a slob. I ain't doing it.
You don't want to be up there just sucking air. Just
Well, I'll do that anyway because of my asthma. I just don't want to be up there jiggling.
Oh, just wear bigger clothes, or get you one of those sweatsuits, those Fat Man suits.
I'm not Limp Biscuit, bro.
Hey, whatever it takes, man, to cover up the dad bod.
Did it all for the nookie. Wait a second. No, I didn't. No, it's bad, Patrick.
Yeah, dad bod. Yeah, you get one of those sumo suits. I think that'd look pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw you where were you? Dying in your orange jumpsuit at your Unchained last year when the air conditioning stopped working.
Jane's Unchained last year, all 3 out of 4 air conditioners went out and we wore those suits. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're about dehydrated and died. So there's no way I'm getting a sumo suit, inflatable or not.
Just rig up a fan inside of it. You'll be cool as the other side of the pillow. You'll be fine.
I've already got costumes for our tour since we've already announced it on the old Facebook and all those other social media outlets. I've got a duffel bag full of costumes that I'm just going to wreck your set, Spence. So, and there's more coming.
Yeah, like when we played together in Arizona, right? When
yeah.
you jumped on stage dressed like Mario. Yeah, not cool at all. There's nothing worse than having the lights in your face and lasers and fog machines and everything, and you can only see two rows out in front of you, and you look down and there's freaking the ugliest looking Mario and Batman.
Mario, Deadpool, and Batman bouncing around to your set. And Jamie was right, because when we were done, Jamie was like, man, I kind of feel bad because that was like a really serious song that they were doing, and Dan was getting into it. I was like, I don't feel bad because it was all he could do to keep a straight face.
Well, I had to turn around and sing the next couple verses staring at the drum set because I was laughing so hard. A song about kid trafficking kids. I'm like, this is messed up.
That's a song about trafficking kids, and there's your cartoon characters that show up in it.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that people don't understand what I'm saying, so it's all good. I can just scream and yell about lollipops and watermelons on stage, and they'd be like, dude, this song was so brutal. What was it about?
He's like Jesus and Dum-Dums.
They go hand in hand. They're both sweet.
Sure enough. So we usually when we start these things, we're usually talking for a good 20 minutes before we even hit the record button on our Zoom thing. We hit a lot. We hit a lot of stuff. If you've been listening as of late, we just released episode 3, yesterday?
Yeah.
And you can find that on the GUR. What's the radio call sign, Dan?
Gospel Rockin' Radio on Facebook. You can look it up that way, or you can gospelrockinradio.com. or you can go to On the Offensive on Facebook, or on YouTube, which is what you're seeing now.
Yeah, because if we put this on Facebook, it'd be taken down yesterday. It wouldn't last.
Yeah, I'm on. Well, not on strike. They struck me. I'm grounded from Facebook right now. I'm on a 25 days. I think they put me on the bottom of my feed after they gave me 24 hours off. So I think the last time you and I talked, they completely took me off for 24, and then it was another 24. My Bread for War page as well, and now I'm on 25 days restriction, where everything I post on Facebook goes to the bottom automatically. So I'm in timeout.
Well, I did catch your congratulations to the American Worker post today. So it couldn't have been too far in the bottom. So
yeah, I just think that like for the common folk who don't follow you a whole lot, if you're trying to do any kind of advertising or something like that, it's going to be just basically pushed to the bottom until it gets a lot of traction.
Buried,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I keep dodging that bullet, and I pray I continue dodging the brown shirt bullet. So maybe that comment right there just got me the bullet. I don't know.
I got it. I got it. Yeah. So what I did was I posted on Chaotic Resemblance's post and said that I'd love to go on tour with them one day, but I may have to kidnap them to make it happen. They hit me for that. Now, Chaotic Resemblance and us are great friends, but they struck me for that. And then they hit me for putting a meme about January 6th. And it was basically from the perspective of Nancy Pelosi and everybody else in AOC about the Capitol being just smashed to pieces. And what was funny is they struck me for that, but they left the post up. So, hey, I got zucked.
See, but what's funny about all these statements you're making, if anybody, today's when upon recording this, it's January 13th, 2022. So if you've been paying attention to the news at all today, everything that you have stated or you have posted is legitimately coming out in the news. I mean, so what are they banning? What are they, I just don't understand it. Stupid.
They fact check everything, and then they say it goes against fact checking, or it's false information. It's all this and that, or it doesn't pertain to the full truth or something like that. And then it comes out later, but they don't retract the statement. They don't retract the banishment, the shunning. They just let it fly. They just let it go. And I'm still in trouble. I'm like, wait a minute. If it comes out, anything I say about the CDC, they'll say, well, this has been individually fact checked, which is a whole different question. And then, or it goes against community standards, and then they go ahead and they release like the truth of what I just said, but it's 2 weeks later, and now I'm telling the truth. I've always been telling the truth, but they don't say, hey, sorry. They don't take away the strike, nothing. So I'm one strike away from pretty much having my channel removed.
You post about the CDC and it's like independently fact checked by Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Yeah.
Forget that guy too. Oh, I saw Rand Paul tear him apart the other day. Yeah, I don't want to get too political. That's not what we're doing right now. So the other day, well, actually, you're the reason for this 2-day back-to-back live stream or recording here. So the other day you had assumed that I had started a GoFundMe. So you send me a message. You're like, hey, let's do a live stream. I'm ready to go now about making fun of people who do GoFundMes. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, whatever. And then you're like, I'm gonna bust you so hard. I'm sitting there thinking, whatever. And so, but what I set up was a donations page. So you wanted to so bad rail on some GoFundMes. So Dan, the floor is yours, bub.
Okay. Well, number one is I digress. I didn't realize the difference. I just saw you post, the donation page, and I assumed it was GoFundMe because everybody does a GoFundMe page. Okay, number one. So my bad. I'm sorry. I'll do it right here on Facebook. But number two is what I want to do is on the offensive. I kind of wanted to offend each other, but apparently it's not going to work this time. So we'll just go back to offending the common stooge. Also, the people who do GoFundMe pages. Oh, where to start on? You know what? You go ahead with this. Start.
It would literally be impossible for us to do an on the offensive where you and I offend each other. I think we are unoffendable, like, because that's like your brother coming at you, and you're like, yeah, whatever. I know your heart. I know who you are. You're not going to offend me with anything you say. So I mean, that would be futile. I think we just sit around. It would turn into like a your mama joke podcast and just seeing who could throw the biggest jab.
Yeah, but the difference is that like neither one of us care, so you can't be offended when you don't give a flip.
Right. Well, the only person who ever had the right to be offended was Jesus, and he wasn't offended even when they were ripping the freaking beard out of his face and spitting on him. And so, and what was his response? Father, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. So if you're out there listening to this, well, then you didn't have a right to be offended anyway. Your stupid shot sucks, your stupid mask sucks, and you're all idiots for taking it. Oh, by the way, the CDC did come out and say that, or Pfizer did come out and say, the CEO came out and stated, listen, shots 1 and 2 and possibly the booster are ineffective against any of the viruses that are out there now.
Really?
Red flag waving. As soon as it was said and people started to go look for the YouTube video to post it on social media, it was a copyright flag to where nobody could share that information and put it out there. So just look up the Pfizer CEO's press conference from 2 days ago, I think it was.
So are you Pfizer made enough money and profits that they're putting the truth out now?
Oh no, honestly, I think that's just their way to turn around and say, so, well, we got to make a new one, so you need that one now. So
yeah.
But let's get back to your GoFundMe's. If we're not flagged, if we've made it this far on the YouTube, congratulations. We made it. We made it through the desert. So that being said, for GoFundMe's, I don't particularly have a huge problem with GoFundMe's unless it's freaking Jeremy out there deciding that he's not happy with his sedan. So he wants to reupholster the seats. So he's setting up a GoFund. Go fund yourself a job, Jeremy.
That's exactly
a job, Jeremy. That's my biggest issue is for frivolous needs. Now, if you need to set up a GoFundMe, I just saw a news story today about the Ronald McDonald House kicking out a family and their 4-year-old son with leukemia because they didn't have the jab. So they're kicking them out because they say they're a danger to the Ronald McDonald House. Thank God there was a GoFundMe set up for that family when there's $146,000 in it already to take care of them. But now that's an acceptable GoFundMe. But if you're looking to bedazzle your daggone jean jacket, go fund yourself a job.
Okay. I didn't know you were going to go there, and I had no idea that you heard that as well. I heard that about 9 o'clock this morning, and I pulled my truck over and started crying. I got so livid mad when I heard that. Now, the Ronald McDonald House, I support 100%. These are children that have cancer, leukemia. They have problems, big problems that most of us don't have. And they didn't deserve they didn't do nothing wrong. And when the Ronald McDonald House said, hey, you have to get the shot or be kicked out of this place that's helping you live the best life that you can under the circumstances that you have, I was so mad, because you're basically telling a kid, hey, we can't help you anymore unless you get this thing that's going to keep you from giving the sniffles to somebody else. This Omicron has given the sniffles to other people. These kids have cancer. You think they're worried about getting the sniffles? These dads are losing their kids. These parents are losing. I can't say the word. I was so mad, dude. But yeah, I've been teary-eyed about that all day. In fact, right before we got online, I told my wife about it, and she starts crying in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, this is really happening. This is how much we're pushing this vaccine that hard, that we're telling children 4 years old with leukemia, we can't help you unless you get vaxxed for the sniffles. Man, get out of here, dude. You want people to get stupid in this country? That's how you do it right there. You mess with the man's kids, you mess with people like that, you're going to get people stupid. And that right there, I was fighting mad. I'm still upset about it, dude. Like, I can offend kids aren't watching this show that we're doing right now. I can offend adults because they don't really care if they get offended. If they get offended, they're Karens and Kyles anyway. But where I draw the line is when you hurt a kid. When you're a kid, it's on, dude. It will not happen on my watch. And that right there, that really sucked when I saw that today. It really, really made me upset.
Did you hear the director's response to the father when he said something along the lines of, so you want me to get this to prevent spreading this within the Ronald McDonald house, yet you guys who have already taken this jab are getting it and spreading it in the Ronald McDonald house? And she was like, yes. Basically, she was like, that's what we need you to do because it protects us. And the guy was just like, basically, you're an idiot. You're a stone cold idiot. He said your conscience is seared because you can't hear any truth. And that's legitimately what happens. And that's what scripture talked about. Man's conscience will be seared and God is going to give his mind over. What was the word they used in the Bible? A reprobate mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's literally what's happening when you got a director of this saying, you need to get this thing so you don't come in and spread it, but we've got this thing and we're still contracting and spreading it. That my head hurts trying to regurgitate that. And it's,
I'm not questioning the lady's, how much she cares for these kids. I'm not questioning that at all because I'm not. And here's why. You have to, man, it would be hard to work in the Ronald McDonald house, get close to a kid and watch him die over and over and over. What I'm questioning is her logic of why she isn't standing up and fighting this. If she wants to get the jab, get the jab. If she wants, that's fine. But to enforce it and to look another dad in the face, hey man, my job's not worth that. So what was the logic of that? Just because somebody came down and said, we have to follow this rule, you never questioned it?
And that's why I do question her compassion or whatever, just like every stupid doctor out there that, you know how many doctor's office and dentist office that I've left and pulled my insurance from just because of their stupid rules and their stupid mandates? Because if you're a medical professional, and you can take this packages of face coverings and read on the back where it says does not protect against this illness right there on the packaging, yet you're going to mandate it for your people to wear it. You're going to make sure that you have to get a shot where people are still contracting and still spreading this disease. You don't care about people. You care about losing your license and losing your position and losing your money. So don't start for one to tell me, because if you doctors out there would have stood firm to begin with, we wouldn't be in this mess. But wait a second, I digress now, because there are frontline doctors out there that did stand for it, and they're still losing everything. They've had their medical license pulled. They've had their businesses closed. They've had their practices closed. They've been drugged through the mud, talked about as quacks and whatever, but they're still out there fighting to this day. And the rest of you out there suggesting that children as young as 5 years old get this thing, you guys are sick. You don't care about people. You care about your license and your practice. You're going to burn for it. I'm telling you now, you're going to burn for it because you're just as accountable for pushing this crap. There's a special seat in hell unless you repent. I'm telling you now.
And here's my big thing about this is, if you want to get it, get it. The flu shot. I've never had a flu shot in my life. I've had the flu a bunch, but I've never had the flu shot. It's never been mandated. I have the choice to either get it or not get it every year. And what's the difference with this one? You know, nobody told me, hey, do you have the flu shot? Oh, you don't have the flu shot? Well, you can't come into Walmart. You can't get anything to eat. You can't go here. You can't travel there. You can't get on a plane, blah, 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 blah. Nobody ever told me that. What's the difference between this one? What's the difference? So America, there you go. That's what will get you shadow banned right there, is talking about China, because China's obviously controlling everything. The best way to right now, America people, there are lots of people who believe like Patrick and I do. Vote with your dollars. How do you do that? Quit watching stuff on TV that supports this. I haven't watched a football game, NBA game, or MLB game in over 2 years since this all started. The moment they started with the racial thing, and then it was the white privilege thing, and then it was reparations, and then it was telling people that they had to get the shot, and all this, and I was like, I'm done.
But Dan, you're in a house and you're wearing a hat. You're clearly displaying your white privilege right now.
Yeah, my white. Yeah, don't get me started on the white privilege thing. But anyway, yeah. So I'm a huge sports fan, and I haven't watched any of it, and I'm just like, I'm putting my money, I'm putting my mouth, I'm putting my actions behind what I believe in. Same with Netflix. Cut off Netflix the moment they got cuties on there and started, trying to show kids wearing stuff they shouldn't be wearing, little kids. I was like, okay, Netflix is gone. People keep doing this. Keep doing this. What I recommend, if you can, start growing your own food, start stocking up your pantries, because there's a lot more companies that you're just going to have to ignore. You're just going to have to just vote with your dollar. Eventually, money talks, obviously. If money didn't talk, Pfizer and all these people wouldn't be pushing these vaccines right now. Money talks. If you start pushing against these people and their profit margins start shrinking, they're going to go against the shot. They're going to go against all these things. Trust me.
Did you see where KFC came out with the new Impossible Chicken?
No.
All vegetable chicken. Who? If I want 15 herbs and spices on my veggies, I'll put it in a salad. But I mean, I don't want your vegetable chicken. I don't want your Impossible Whopper, funded by Gates. Oh, wait a second. There's another flag. Shame.
He's buying 10% of the farmland. This is a Microsoft guy. He's buying 10% of the farmland in America and then not farming it. What the heck is he doing with it? And then why does he want to feed us crickets so bad and worms?
Why does this computer dude all of a sudden have such a voice in the medical community and how it should work? I mean,
well, I like the meme that says, his virus protection didn't work in 1998. What makes you now? Oh, dude, this will be our last podcast. And let's make it count.
So all 6 of you who've been tuning in to the last 3, this might be the last one.
Yeah, deuce.
Well, I guess. Well, if this is going to be the last one, I guess we'll take the gloves off and see how far we can push this envelope before we crash and burn.
Yeah.
So, what about them pedophiles in Washington, Dan?
Which ones? All of them?
All of them.
Why does Nancy Pelosi's face look like it's been stapled to the back of her neck?
Because it's all the ice cream she's been eating during the riots. She got permanent face freeze.
Her eyebrows look like the McDonald's sign. It's like M.
Dan, we're still Christians, man. Poor Nancy. No, not poor Nancy, drinking kids' blood. Yeah, I said it. What? Yeah, put on your tinfoil hats. It's going to be a ride. Oh.
Hey, when Alex Jones goes, hey, man, you guys have gone too far, that's when you're doing good.
Fair enough. Well,
let's go back to the GoFundMe before we go back on another tangent. This is GoFundMe's. Hey, guys, bands. Oh, bands. I know you've been called by God. I know you're to go all over the place. But if God, this God you believe in, owns it, and I believe in the same God you guys do, he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He owns everything. You're called by him. He's going to supply your needs. Why are you begging for money to do a record? Why are you begging for money to go on tour? Why GoFundMe so I can go drive around and go on tour? How about go fund yourself and get a job? I mean, seriously, like Patrick said, go fund. There's a great song by I Am Spartacus, and it's called Go Fund Yourself.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's like, go get a job. There's jobs everywhere. You really want to do this? Go sit in front of Walmart and sell your CDs. Go record yourself, press your own stuff, sell your CDs in front of Walmart, get enough money where then you can go on tour. And when you're on tour, do the best you can to sell them. That's marketing. That's how that works. Never once has Bread for War ever said, hey, we can't go on tour unless somebody funds us. In fact, sitting in front of Walmart, done it several times, made a killing doing it, and was able to finance the first 2 records doing that. It's like, there's nobody giving us money. We don't have secret accounts or anything like that. Go fund yourself. Quit asking for money.
I remember when I made this donations page, a bunch of cool cats, they sent me like $500. I mean, it was like, wow, somebody's going and funded me.
A bunch of idiots.
Scumbags, really. But me, I agree 100. If God will, God's bill type deal. With everything that we're trying to do this year, I'm also trying to do, because God has told me many times, and you and I have had this conversation, Dan, where I'll start worrying about it or start trying to put my shoulder to the plow to get things done, and random messages from a bunch of random people. Tony, and I know you're listening to this. Tony was one of those random messages one day. Sitting there thinking, I'm going to go take out a loan and I'm going to do all these things. And right as soon as that's how I'm going to do this. And no sooner than I had finished the thought, I get a message from Tony. Hey, man, I just want you to know that God's got you covered. He's going to provide you with everything and more than what you could ever imagine. And so I'm also a firm believer if you can't lean on that shovel and pray for a hole to appear either. So I'm going to do what I can physically here in the flesh to get things done or rolling, to have options out there. At the same time, having faith in God, because if what I'm doing isn't going to work, he's not going to let it work. And he's going to make it very clear that that's not going to work. And clearly, by the donation page that I've set up on our old Facebook account, that whole $20 donation, thank you, Darren. Yeah, it's been up for 2 weeks now. So clearly that donation thing isn't going to work. So, but at the same time, you're talking about legwork right here. We got our local steakhouse. Reached out to them, their marketing team started contacting people. Hey, listen, I see you guys do fundraisers for people and organizations, Girl Scouts, softball teams, or whatever. If we don't qualify, I understand. Just let me know. And the lady was just like, hey, listen, yeah, we can do this on Monday, the 24th from 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Somebody brings in this flyer with their meal. We're going to give you 10% of whatever their meal cost. And so, I mean, I think that is putting feet, that is having the faith and works at the same time, because she could have easily told me no, but I would have never known if I had never made the phone call either.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And what's that old saying that if you take care of God's business, he'll take care of your business? You know, that old saying. And you obviously have been taking care of God's business, which is his business is his children. You take care of his children, and money and things and RVs and all this stuff, they'll just show up. They just show up, you know, opportunities. They just show up. Like, you don't have to kick doors down to get shows, and you don't have to do GoFundMe's to raise money. It'll just start showing up. People out of nowhere will just be like, you know what? I see what you're doing. I've been trolling you for a while. Really like what you're doing, and I believe in what you're doing. I want to support that. Here's a $200 donation. Here's a $1,000 donation. Here's $50 a month for the next however long. Things happen like that. And all of a sudden you're just like, wow, that's what faith truly is. And I think we talked about this on the last podcast, but it's just having faith. It's literally when you have zero in your account and you're called to do this, you're really called to do this. You go and you do it with zero in your account, knowing that God will supply your every need. If he's your true Jehovah Jireh. And you know, I think that bands should do that, especially these so-called Christian bands. I really think that
if you're out there doing just to get blessed, you've missed the point already. You should be out there doing to bless others. Seek first the kingdom, and all those things will be added to you. But let's be honest. I cringe when I see a band's GoFundMe for an album or something like that, or new gear or whatever. Just because I know that nobody wants to support a musician. Nobody. It's like they're beatniks and panhandling and IR one. So I mean, if I see him as a musician and I cringe, knowing that there's some old dude, why don't you just go out there and get a job, you bum? You know, nobody wants to support a musician. They don't even come to your shows, let alone why are they going to give you money?
And honestly, like, I'm a musician. I love music. I've loved music since I was a little kid. I love being a musician, but there's a fine line between being a musician and then being that guy. Let's face it, musicians, they literally want to be, their job requirement is to be worshiped on stage for an hour every night. That's literally what they want. They want everybody, all eyes on them while they, and to me, that's the worst part about being a musician, is that all eyes are on you. So the whole point of this podcast is to deflect that and go, hey, there are real people that are real musicians that really don't want the spotlight, but they want Jesus to be eliminated. They want everything to go to God. You're never going to hear us, and I know we've said this before, Patrick, you're never going to hear either one of our bands ever introduce anybody else on stage, because that's irrelevant. God's the only reason why we do this. And if I truly believe that, and I know you guys do too, 3 days under, if I truly believe that, then God will supply my need. And if my need is another gas tank of fuel to get to the next spot so that I can play to 3 people inside of a club full of smoke and nobody's listening except the one drunk guy by the pool table, and he decides to listen and he decides to change his heart that night, then God will supply that tank of gas. Why? I've seen it lots of times.
And just a disclaimer, I know some of you are sitting there watching this, talking about how are you guys going to talk about not introducing anybody on the stage or promoting your bands when you're sitting there on screen with your CDs and your logos blasted all behind you. We didn't know it was coming here. This is my office. This is where I come to do work. This is my happy spot. I got a bunch of knickknacks and junk, and it just so happens these are some of my accomplishments. Those are Dan's accomplishments, and that's where we're happy. So don't judge our home or our heart because of our home, scumbags.
You can always take them around the rest of the house. This is the only this wall behind me. I know you're not going to hear this on the radio, but there's a little bitty "I love me" wall behind me. And it's just really cool things that people, have given me, and little awards and stuff like that. But honestly, it's in the garage of my house. I have no other place in the world. My wife took the rest.
She has dominion over the rest. This is my nook. And same here. This is my little nook. I spend between school and doing band work. Here I spend at least 8 hours a day in the office here. So, returning emails, doing schoolwork and things like that. So yeah, I'm going to be surrounded by things that make me happy and keep my drive going. So yeah.
Inspiration.
Naysayers, go fund yourself.
Yeah. In fact, if you naysayers that need to go fund yourself, you need inspiration, put some pictures of bills and debts up on your wall and go get a job.
Past due notices.
Well, my son, he's a musician. He's doing his thing, and he's like, "Well, what's some advice, Dad?" And I'm like, "Work, go get a job. Make sure you're working." I said, because music, the chance of you making any kind of real money in music is slim to none. First of all, you're in a giant pool full of pee, and you're peeing in there in the pool too, and everybody's peeing in this giant, it's basically the ocean, and it's full of pee. And somewhere in there that you're just trying to get one drop of fresh water, but it's full of pee. And that's what being a musician is. It actually smells like that everywhere we play. It's glamorous. We go to truck stops, it smells like that. It's awesome. But my point is when I tell my son, I'm like, hey, you need something to fall back on, because music is not it. You will be a starving musician somewhere unless you hit it big. And honestly, for you to make any real money, oh man, and still have morals and value.
I'm going to start calling you Bob Ross, because you sure know how to paint a big P picture.
Am I lying?
No, not at all. But I'm just picturing swimming in a big old ocean of pee. Going, man, I'm sure I'm thirsty.
Yeah, this is great. I want to keep doing this the rest of my life. Yay, P. And then if you sell your soul and you sell out all your creative product and all this, you sell all that stuff out and you give it to some label, they may give you a raft to float around in, so you're not in the pee. You're in the
And then
dinghy.
you get to scream out, my pee is better than everybody else's pee because I'm on a raft.
Yeah. And then guess what? Now that you're in the raft, everybody who's still swimming around the pee starts trying to pop your raft and
Or
get you
climb
back,
on it with you.
or climb on it with you. Yeah. Either way, you're going down.
Trying to bring their pee in your boat.
Or they start crapping on you. So I tell Kaylin, I'm like, hey man, you're doing fantastic with your music. You know, market it, do it correctly, and let God honor it, and God will provide. And in the meantime, I mean, you know, he's got a normal job doing electrical work. You know, take a tithe to yourself. You know, after you tithe to your church, whatever, put you a little money to the side. But at least have a job. And I said, that's number one. Number two, don't ever do a GoFundMe, or I'll disown you, son.
Or I'll pee in your boat
I'll pee all over his boat.
while drilling holes in it.
This is never going to air.
Yeah, it is. We talked about everything under the sun, including pee and crapping in people's boats. So, I mean, if this does, well, I don't know what the award is for best radio show, but we're going to get it with this episode.
Well, the point is to offend people. I mean, we got to go as far as we possibly can. And
Good thing I'm not wearing pants.
hey, me either. But I got this hat on.
But I got my hat.
Keep the shine down.
Okay, so what next? I mean, we have
We've talked about the vaccines. We've talked about the Ronald McDonald House doing what they do. You know what? You know what's crazy is the Ronald McDonald House. Man, a lot of people support that, and they have for a long time. I've got a good friend whose son was in the Ronald McDonald House when he was born. This is back in 2015. His son was born with a heart condition. Ronald McDonald House did a fantastic job, man. I was so proud because they put that family up in Kansas City for months while this kid went through his heart surgery and did all this stuff. Newborn baby. Kid's doing fantastic now. I mean, he's doing great. Family's solid as a rock. Fantastic family. One of my best friends in the world. Ronald McDonald House did that. And it was because of donations and stuff like that. But man, dude, when I heard that news today with that leukemia kid, I almost wanted to go, you know what, boycott him. But then I'm like,
isn't the
boycott
House a nonprofit organization?
Yeah.
So then they shouldn't be held under any kind of government bailout rules to where they would have to mandate something like that.
I believe it was in Canada.
Oh.
And you know how the crazy Canucks are.
That's not very good, eh?
No, I would have went in there and beat him with a hockey stick.
What's this about?
What is this all about? This is never going to air. Yeah, I would have been in there like, listen, A, what is this all about?
What are you kicking me out for?
Yeah, so yeah, I believe it was in Canada, but I mean, Justin Trudeau, I mean, he's the man up there. He's is Canada part of England? It is, right?
I'm assuming
the Queen's still on their money. So, wow, the rabbit trail with the prince.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so those of you guys who don't know, what was it, today or yesterday? The Queen stripped Prince Andrew of all his military honors, his royal rights, basically excommunicated this guy from the crown, the Kingdom of England, all for his ties to the old pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and the accusations against former Prince Andrew. I guess he's now just Andrew. So, how much you want to bet? And I'm not a betting man, but I'll bet on this one. How much you want to bet this dirty news about old Andy leads back to the crown somehow? I'm calling it.
Oh, I bet you they're going to try to get it to go back to the monarchy. But the monarchy is basically saying, Andrew, who? We're stripping him of everything because they do not want, they want to cut that tie now. I mean, why else would the queen go? Isn't he like the favorite son? He's the favorite son. And the queen's like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and tell Andy he's not allowed here anymore and we have nothing to do with him. In fact, we don't even know his last name. He's not a prince. Prince who? We don't have a prince. Everybody else has already left. I wonder why they left. Why did Doodah say, oh, I'm leaving and going to Canada? Was it Harry?
Excuse me. Sorry for all you guys listening.
You think he had a heads up?
Oh, it's just like when Tom Hanks bailed and became a citizen of freaking Greece. Yeah, they had a heads up. Yeah, they knew what was coming. I'm going to move to a non-extraditable country just because it's on a whim. Come on now. Come on. Shady McGrady is all up in the kingdom. They're about ready to get exposed for touching kids, and they need to be punched in the throat and held to the highest extent of punishment for it.
Yep. If you touch kids, you hurt kids, kick kids out of Ronald McDonald House for not being vaxxed, having leukemia, you're asking for it, people. You're asking for it.
Jesus already said, if you cause one of these little ones to stumble, it is better that you tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the ocean. Those are the words of Jesus. That's not an opinion. That's not debatable. That's not he may have said that. That is, those letters are in red in the scripture. So yep. And to be a stumbling block, can you imagine the trauma these people caused these children? Talk about a stumbling block. I mean, this is kind of stuff that makes me say words that I shouldn't say.
Hey, just thank God for distance. That's all I got to say.
Honestly, I believe if all the information about half these scumbags came out, I believe that we would all be so sickened and gut wrenched and weeping so poorly. I think that the reason why they don't release the information is they know what half of us would do. I mean,
and if that if that ever really did come out, and all these athletes and musicians and actors and stuff were all exposed, I bet you there'd still be people that go, well, it's in the past. Or, well, those kids brought it on. Well, I really like his movies. Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Because there's still those people out there. Well, it's not that bad. We'll just follow along a little further. They're saying it now about half these people. Well, and I can hear them out there now. Well, people can change, and you're Christian, and you should forgive these people. I'm telling you what. I'm not gonna turn around and trust the scumbag who's touching kids with my Sunday school class just because he's been good boy for 5 years. It's not going to happen. I mean, and I tell you what, it's probably something that needs to be worked on. But I don't think that I have the capacity to forgive something like that. Because if Jesus is saying that they should have a millstone tied around their neck and tossed in the ocean, that's telling me that there's not a lot of forgiveness in that statement. You know what I'm saying? That's not a lot. Okay. Well, just don't do it anymore. I forgive you, repent, and you'll be all and sin no more. He didn't say that in that situation. He said you might as well just go drown yourself and sink yourself to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, that's a hard because I know what the Bible says, but there's a reason why that sex offenders have to register, and they're registered for life, is because 9 times out of 10 they recommit.
I wonder why voters don't have to register.
Who?
Voters.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, if you speak Spanish, you don't have to.
Dan, go on about the pedophiles and the sex offenders.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the pedophiles and sex offenders. Yeah, they oftentimes they recommit, and they have to stay away from parks and schools and things like that for life. And the Bible says to forgive. that right there, it's a hard one. It's a real hard one, especially if you've ever been locked up before. You know where those people are. They're segregated and PC and, protective custody. And then, they're looked at as the bottom of the bottom in prison and stuff like that. So it's really hard to have that. That's the one jailhouse mentality that it's really hard to shake, is that one right there. Because, man, when you hurt a kid, dude, it's a hard one.
Well, what law they're trying to pass out in California that, well, I think like they're trying to say that they identify as a 12-year-old or a child, so it's okay for an adult to be with a kid. That's what they're trying to make illegal out there.
The last legislation I heard, and I'm not sure if this passed, I thought it did, was that if you had relations with a 14-year-old or above, it was okay. But anybody under a 14-year-old was not okay. You're talking, this is a 14-year-old kid. I don't know how many people listening to this have a 14-year-old. That's a child. Have you ever talked to a 14-year-old kid? Nothing is going on upstairs. They're not fully developed. Trust me. And I mean, just like these people that would do this, and this is girls and boys too. I mean, women are doing it to young men as well, to young boys as well. So it's going both ways. It's happening in the gay community. It's happening all over the place, where, predatory men are looking for young 13-year-old boys. I mean, and to my last comment on the last podcast was, you're not going to stop a grown man from grabbing up a child. Not very easily. First of all, it's just a pure physical strength, pure physical strength. If a guy weighs 200 pounds, he snatches a boy that weighs 80. It's not, unfortunately, no, not really. There's not a fight at all. So all the more reason, arm yourself, ladies. Arm yourself.
They're so trying to normalize it in our society, that and homosexuality and same-sex marriages and couples and here we go. Oh no, we're offending. Well, that's what we do. I don't. In the scripture, it talks about that there's only one sin that God calls an abomination, and that is the act of homosexuality. And here's my theory on it. And I think it's a pretty sound and solid theory. Dan, shoot it down if you're wrong. Poke as many holes in it as you can. But if you're a thief or you're a murderer or any other, whatever they would call, whatever people would consider a sin, whatever biblically would be considered a sin, or a blasphemer, a gossiper, a hate monger, whatever those things are, you don't walk around the street saying, yeah, I'm a murderer, or yes, I'm a blasphemer, or yes, I'm a thief, I'm a robber. That's not your identity. Now, the homosexual community, they take the identity of whatever it is that they quote unquote, and they say it themselves, I identify as this other sex, non-binary, I found out was a thing. I guess it means you're no sex. But dudes thinking they're chicks thinking they're dudes. We're having all this surgery. If we were created in the image of God and how God wanted us created, then we are literally blaspheming his image by changing our opinion of what our image should be. And so that is my personal opinion, because that becomes their identity. You see it, what's his name? Jenner. It went from a dude to a chick, and now that's his identity as this Caitlyn. People are literally changing their names and trying to change their sex on their birth certificates. And so I firmly believe that's why it's an abomination, because you are changing the identity that was given to you, because you were made in God's image, and that's how he made you. Now, do I think that there is used to, they would treat it as a mental illness, something like homosexuality, pedophilia, and things like that. And while I do agree, I think that to a degree that there is that, I also believe that there's a great deal of trauma in some of these cases that go on to it. Trauma that hasn't ever been dealt with. Either it's molestation, either it's physical, mental, or all the abuse combined. And this isn't for 1 second bashing homosexuals in any capacity as human beings. It is I am bashing that sin and calling it what it is, as an abomination. I still love you as a person, but if you think for 1 second that I'm going to play pretend with you, and your name's Kyle, but you want to be called Kylie, No, you're Kyle, dude. I don't care. You're born with a pecker. I'm gonna tell you exactly who you are. Because I'm not put on this earth to play pretend with you so you can feel better about your day. Dan, what do
Yeah.
you think of that theory?
And well, there's a lot there, but I mean, one thing is if I know you're Kyle and you identify as Kylie and Mr. Kyle, you go walking into a bathroom with my daughter in there. I'm sorry, Kyle, but you're going to be dealt with like your name is Kyle. Number one. Number two, you talked about identity. Satan's oldest trick in the book is to pervert God's thing, whatever God had, what God's people, God's ideas, God's everything. It's to pervert it. I mean, people have their identity instead of having their identity in Christ. They have their identity in being a non-binary alien fish or something. I don't know what they are, but people just making stuff up. The other thing is that I remember when I was young, they would say, "Well, a homosexual is born that way. They're just born that way." So it just very dismissive. Oh, he was just born that way, so that's the way he is. Well, have you noticed that like they're also saying like if a young boy is acting like a girl, well, and he wants to be a girl, oh, he's a 3-year-old. He was just born that way. He was just born to be a girl, but unfortunately he came out with male parts. I'm like, no, that 3-year-old also wants to be a fire truck, but we can't make him a fire truck. So,
Right.
he wasn't born that way. That is taught. That stuff is taught, whether it's through trauma, like you said, or something else, or something. It's taught. That's how people.
Dinosaur. Rawr.
Yeah, I wanted to be a gum wrapper and a rhinoceros, and I'm still trying, but apparently the AZPTIQU1 community hasn't put an R on there for rhinoceros yet, but I'm waiting.
I'll reach out to them tomorrow. I'm going to send them this video too, see what they think.
I want the R plus minus division sign on there.
And the funny thing about it is this has a high likelihood of being flagged as hate speech. Under the new guidelines and things like that. And when it's just everything that's written and it's truth, and truth has become hate speech. To go back to your comment though about Satan always trying to twist the identity of God and who we are. It started in the garden when he looked at Eve. Well, God knows if you eat that fruit that you will become like God, automatically telling her you're not as good as what you could be. You're not like God, though you were made in his image by him physically right there. You are not good enough. Already twisting and distorting her image in the garden. Thanks, ladies.
Yeah. Thanks, ladies. So, but to put a bow on this and to say, so we don't get flagged, this is all hypothetical. So if you say that, it goes by the wayside. The only thing that's not hypothetical is everything biblical we said. That's all truth.
Well, I identify as, if Fauci can identify as science, how do we identify and make our words the gospel?
I want to be known as the vacuum cleaner. That's what I am.
Because he's sucks. He's the vacuum cleaner because he sucks.
Boom. Dirty.
Well, I identify as some guy with an opinion. So, boom. Yeah. So you identify as an alien.
Yeah. Wait till they disclose the aliens. Woo! Talk about the Great Deception. How many people are going to that one?
I heard they're actually going to usher in the whole alien theory and the whole alien race and things like that to discredit fully Christianity. Because if they disclose that there are aliens, then there is no possible way that there could be a creator who created man living on planet. That's how they're framing it. But in my opinion, again, here's just another one of Patrick's theories because I identify as an opinion. And so that's pretty arrogant of us as human beings to think that out of the vast expansion of space and how many stars there are just like Earth floating around the sun, the God could not have said for 1 second out of however long time has been in existence, the God couldn't have said, I'm going to create them there too. Just saying. Opinion.
Well, newsflash, America. I was born and raised in East Los Angeles up until my 20s. I lived there. I lived real close to the border. There are aliens. Just saying.
I see what you did there.
Booyah.
They'll be at a polling station near you come midterms.
Yep.
Man,
well, there you go.
You're right. I don't think this one's going to air.
No.
Oh, so many.
So, to put a bow on this, yeah, go get a job. Even the aliens are getting jobs. The aliens are taking our jobs. So there you go. Go find yourself.
I mean, I literally have nothing to follow that up with. We kicked in so many doors today. And you know what? If you're offended, be offended. But in the midst of all your offense, go look it up. Go look it up. Go read about it. And go read opposing views on it. Go read everything that opposes everything that you heard today, which is probably, if you're offended, you probably already believe that way, that it opposes everything that we said today. But then go and look at everything that we believe in and look for yourself, and then come to the middle and come to a conclusion that way. I don't need you to agree with me and everything that I have to say and all my theories. Dan doesn't need your kudos saying, you know what, Dan, everything you said was right. No, we're grown men. We can handle being wrong, A. We can handle other people having their own opinions, B. What we can't handle is you trying to shove your opinions and ideals down our throats, telling us we're wrong because we don't think like you. So, Dan, you got a last note before we sign off here?
I'm gonna go study about rhinoceroses. But other than that, yeah. Ditto.
All right. He concurs. Oh, those $3 words tonight from Dan. But look, this was episode 5. I think we did some damage. We were not gentle. We were not gentle at all. We tapped into things that I didn't expect us to. But if this survives and it's not red flagged and booted, we'll come back at you here in a few weeks with episode 6. Thanks. Peace.